Welcome to Biztech's Community Conversation Show, the show where we engage community leaders to understand and highlight issues facing the broader community. Today, our conversation is with the Budimas Charitable Foundation and its Principal Officer and CEO, Anne Rajasaikaran. Anne, welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Now, Anne, could we start by just giving us an overview of Budimas, how you were started and how you are funded?
Okay, so the Budimas Charitable Foundation started about approximately 25 years ago, like 1998 it was incorporated, and then we received our tax exempt status in 1999, the year after. So ever since that, our vision and mission was to fund and care for underprivileged children in Malaysia. So far, we have received our funds from the general public. We don't have a yearly grant which we receive from any particular party, but it's mainly from generous Malaysians who get on our direct debit donor program or who donate on a one-off basis or a yearly basis to us. So that's how we raise our funds.
And what's the balance in terms of corporate sponsors versus individual sponsors?
So I would say approximately 25% to 30% would be corporate sponsors. So this really depends on how the year is. So some years we come by a lot of companies who they've made enough profit and income and they want to give back to society and they actually donate to us. So and we're fine with that, and it's usually mid-year or at the end of the year, especially in December, and the rest of it is usually donors which are from middle income to high income people.
Okay,
average Malaysians. Yeah.
What are your focus areas of the charity itself?
Okay, so our main aim is basically to care for underprivileged children, and care comes in the form of fundraising and funding their projects which revolve around their well-being. So we take care of their education, their housing, and also most very important thing is food. We feed them as well. So we also care for the Orang Asli children in Malaysia. So what we do is that as much as fundraising is a main objective over here, because fundraising equates to us being able to fund all of the projects which we want to do with the underprivileged children, we are also big and we're also very focused on branding and telling people about the plight of underprivileged children, because I personally believe that when you tell people about your vision and mission as to why you're doing this, people are more aware, people know. Because over the years that I've been doing this, I've come across many Malaysians who actually say like, I didn't know that we had poor children in Malaysia. I don't know that we are in need. I don't know that there are actually many malnourished children who have no access to education, children who have not gone to school in a very long time, and children who are lost in the system. So I feel like because there's not much hype made about this, no one knows about it. But
okay, and I want to drill down a little bit on some of these issues because obviously they're quite disturbing. Could you give us a sense, first of all, in terms of impact? How many sort of students do you impact or children do you impact every year, and what do you do to help them?
Okay, so via our feeding program, we impact close to 7,000 children on a yearly basis.
Okay, so these are daily feeding programs?
Yes. So except with the exception of this year, because of COVID, the schools have been shut the longest this year, so we couldn't feed them. But we've gone through many other avenues to actually reach out to them, especially during COVID. But so there's approximately about 7,000 children under the feeding program, and there's more than 20,000 children under our home program, where we support children who are placed in homes all around Malaysia. We do not own these homes; we just fund them. They are run privately by themselves, but these are all homes which are audited and certified by JKM. Okay. So we fund them.
Okay, so essentially your execution strategy is you raise the funds, you work with execution partners then who are properly accredited and supervised.
Yes.
Okay, and Give us a sense of these problems, because you're feeding kids on a daily basis. Is this a case where, and because Biztech has done a show with you before, that came to our attention at that time, that there are so many children that don't even have a full meal every day?
Yeah. So I've repeated this story a couple of times, but it's actually a very impactful story as to how we came across this program. It all started off in Klang, where we came across some children who were very, very small in size. And later, after talking to them, we realized these children were actually 12 years old, but they were not they were not bigger than a 6-year-old. So they were heavily malnourished, and we later got to know from the school teachers that they were actually just showing up in the canteens to see if there were any extra food. So from there, we realized that these children are actually in existence and they are there. And we took it a step further to actually go back to where they were at. And we realized that there were a few hundreds of them. And this was all in a place in Klang. So subsequently, we started this feeding program with the school, with the help of the canteen operators, where we paid them to feed these children, and we identified them. And later, we realized that more and more children were showing up at school, because this goes back to our heavy belief in the education system, where this is going to break the cycle of poverty.
Yeah, this is long-term impact. So you basically then solve that issue, because the only way they're going to have mobility from a social mobility perspective to get out of the poverty trap is education.
Yes, that's what we did. And we realized that in the short term, we wanted to feed them, and we wanted to give them access, and we wanted to give them a way out, because most of these children were stuck in a position where I can't come to school because I have to go to work. I have to go to work or my family doesn't eat. So it took a lot of convincing and talking to and managing expectations of their parents and they themselves, to tell them, like, listen, you come to school and we will feed you. We will do as much as we can. You will get your meals and you will focus and you will do well. And hopefully you will get out of this whole system. But like I said, it took a lot of convincing.
And can you give us a sense of, because you've been around for a long time, could you share some success stories perhaps of students and these kids that you've helped?
Yeah, so we also have our own homes, the homes which we support, and also a home which we own in Senawang. So we built that home on a piece of land which was donated to us. And in that home, it can house up to 150 children. But at the moment, we have approximately 40 students over there. So we have cared for children for as young, for the ages were as young as 2 years old. And right now they've grown up, they've become teenagers, and they've been within our care. And I think one of our greatest success was when I think more than 5 of them actually scored a spot in the local universities and colleges, and they went on to participate in Paralympics and sports, and they got jobs. So for us, that was the measure of our success stories, because eventually they did not go back to what they were from. So
Absolutely.
we've had more than 100% success from that home. Via our feeding program, I think all of the schools, school teachers and school principals have written to us stating that due to this program, their attendance at school was more than 100%. If not for anything, they show up for the food. And we were very happy with that, because in the end of the day, we were very, very keen on keeping the kids at school, because once kids drop out of school, they never come back. And that alone was a big success for us. And our programs also extended all the way up to Penang, and we have many more schools and states requesting us for assistance with the feeding program. But alas, our budget is only X amount, and we also have not many volunteers to help us execute this project. But in the end of it, so far, we have gotten a lot of success stories, and many of them have been successful, and they've actually come back to actually be in touch with us and tell their stories to inspire more and more underprivileged children to basically stay in school and make something out of yourself.
So, and what sort of budgets do you operate on, and how much actually goes to the kids? Because one of the things with donors always are worried about is this: it's about corporate governance.
Yeah.
You know, what are the measures that you have in place to ensure the donations are spent wisely, and that, for example, in some charities and in poor practices, you have a very large proportion of the funds raised going towards administrative expenses.
Right. Okay. So via the because we are governed by Indian Inland Revenue, LHDN, we are often checked by them. They come and visit us twice a year or even randomly, and they look through our books and our numbers. So we also have an internal auditor and an external auditor who does all of our reportings. So last year, approximately 14 million in gross was raised last year itself. And we spent out almost 7 million. So the breakdown of it was like approximately 1 million went to the education program, another 3.8 million went to the food program, and for our libraries, we spent 2.1 million. So the rest of it, we only spent 10% out of that amount, less than 10% for our administrative costs. So we are allowed 15 to 20%, but we make it a point that we spend lesser than that simply because we don't need it. And also the rest of it goes into investments, and the rest of it goes into all of our other pilot projects. So we spend it out that way. So to answer your question, I understand why the public or people would be worried as to where the monies went to and who decides how the money is spent. So we have a board of trustees, a set of board of trustees who is equally independent, and we meet 4 times a year, and we decide how we are spending and where we spend this thing on. So at that whole process, we bring in all of our facts and our details. We present them as to where the monies go to. We do not discriminate, because poverty does not discriminate. We help everyone which we can, but it has to come under the mandate of us helping underprivileged children. Hence why when we get people saying that, can we help single mothers? Can we help handicapped children? Or actually handicapped children we can help, but we focus more on underprivileged children. So we tend to make sure our projects go back to that, simply because Inland Revenue will query us. If you say you're going to help these core missions, you should go back and help those core missions, and which I feel is a very, very good thing to do, because then you don't run away from your focus and your target.
Yeah.
And as I said before, we are audited left, right, front, center. Our annual report is on our website. So, and we are one of the few foundations who actually just put it out there so that people can actually see where your money is going to.
And also, and my query will be about the balanced money, that because there are, of course, and I want to highlight that to the audience as well, with foundations like yourself, there are some years that you run in deficit in terms of funds raised. Last year probably was an exception, that you raised a lot of extra money, which then allows you then to spend on projects, for example, like in this year, where, for example, I think you're doing a lot more, because one of the key things that's happened is you're tackling the problem of feeding the hungry in Malaysia. Even more now.
Exactly. So that's why when we have an excess amount of money, so we usually invest it, but it's usually in markets where we can actually withdraw back our monies to help out the years after, so that we have monies to run us by. Because so what's happened in these past 2 years was that COVID happened. So there were many of our donors who actually called us up and said, listen, like, I lost my job and I'm in a bit of financial difficulty, so I have to stop. So we were also very understanding, and we said, okay, fine, we have to stop. But having said that, we've committed to all of these XYZ projects, right? So they have to run.
And these are long-term commitments. I think a lot of people don't understand charity, especially when you're in a feeding program, is a long-term commitment. You cannot just turn up bring up some KFC and stuff like that,
No,
and
no,
then
no,
do a
no.
party and go on. It's a daily thing and it's committed for years.
Exactly. So how it works is that what we raised last year, we will spend this year. So what we raised this year, we will spend the following year. So that's how it goes. So yeah, you're absolutely right, because this year, when things got very uncertain, we all worked from home. We couldn't execute a lot of our projects because part of our job description is actually to get out there, to be around the community, to be around children and people, and visiting schools, checking on the libraries, meeting our donors. So we couldn't do all of that. So a lot of our donation pool, it depleted slightly, but projects still had to run. So we pretty much did what we needed to do. So this year we launched the No Hungry Kid campaign. So this campaign was basically to channel out to all children and all families with children who's been stuck at home, who had to go through online education, online classes without any devices. So we went through all of the stops to ensure that they got this, they got their internet, they also got their monthly supply of basic necessities of food. So we ran this project, and it's been a couple of months, but we touched a lot of families and we made a difference in a lot of children's lives. So I think that's very, very important, because irregardless of how much our funds were at, we got a lot of people writing into us stating that times are bad and we don't know what to do. And we're so left behind, and we've lost our jobs, and we have children, and what are we going to do?
Yeah. And if right now, I think often foundations and charities like yourself basically need two types of things, two types of help, right?
Yeah.
You probably need donors, and you probably need volunteers.
Yes, of course.
If someone wants to volunteer, what do they need to do? How do they get involved?
Okay, so you can get in touch with us via our website. Just go and Google us, we're there. You can get in touch with the old-fashioned way, call us, there's always somebody answering the calls, or you can log on to our website and click on the volunteer site, and we will get in touch with you. Or you can get in touch with us via our social media. Social media is very, very apt, and there's a lot of people answering over there. So then we can see what exactly you can help us with, because at this point we've been doing a lot of food distribution programs, and the whole of our team members. So we're a very lean team. So there's only approximately about 25 of us, and they've all been taking turns to go and distribute the foods out. So part of our challenge is also because it's COVID, and we don't want to endanger anyone, but these things need to get out.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a contactless touch point here. You've got to physically take back boxes of food and stuff like that and deliver it.
Yeah, so we do that because if we don't do that, they don't get the food. So we put on the PPV set, the whole set, and we put on our mask and we put on our face shield and gloves, and we go out there and we distribute the food out there. So DBKL and the police and a lot of these other government agencies have been very helpful towards us, because they understand that we need to reach out to these people. However, we still need volunteers to help us out. So it'd be great if many of you who get in touch with us and see if you could just volunteer your time, a couple of hours in a week. That would be great.
Okay, the other way obviously to help, which is also very important, because money makes the world go around, and money helps to feed these people if you don't want to put yourself in danger in particular. Now you've got two broad ways of doing that. Obviously, you have one, obviously someone can make a one-off donation and so forth, but what is probably more meaningful and also something good, because you do your programs long-term and it's sustainable, is you have your iAdopt platform, which allows donors to donate on an ongoing basis to specifically 3 funds. Could you give us an insight into all of that?
Yeah, so the Budimas Education Charity Fund is set solely for the education purposes. So we give away a lot of scholarships over there. We do a lot of we build a lot of libraries over there. We help out the Orang Asli children and also children in rural areas education wise. So right now we're focused in building more libraries to reach out to more and more of these children. We also put in our device donation program under this fund because I've mentioned to you before, especially during COVID times, a lot of our children were getting left behind simply because they couldn't get onto their online
Correct. They don't have access. This is an access issue.
Yeah, so last year we did a very quick donation drive and we got a lot of devices. We got handphones, laptops, and we managed to get them hooked on so that they can at least go through their online classes. So we did that. So via our Budimas Home Charity Program, where we support all of the homes which we've picked up. So we have approximately around more than 60 homes over there. And we support all of the homes. We don't own them, but they are all vetted and audited by JKM. So whatever they need, we give them financial support. So if they need the electricity bill paid, we help them out. And if they need transportation bills being taken care of, we do that for them. However, we do not support them 100% because please take note that there are a lot of other people also donating to these homes. So we also wouldn't like these homes to, because we have homes like, we have so much of rice, we don't know what to do with it. So that's like an excess of it. So hence why we send in our teams over there and then they look at their books and their numbers and they say that, okay, so you got everything covered, but you need someone to take care of your groceries. Okay, fine, we'll come in and we'll take care of your groceries. So that's how we do it.
Okay, so then it's impactful and meaningful. There's no waste.
Yeah, there's no waste. There's also it's also good for us because it's also part of our audit process, because our board of trustees, our board members are very particular about who we extend our help to, and we must be in the know as to on all of these homes which we support, and we must keep a very close touch with them, because we've heard of many horror stories where the home carers, the caretakers abuse the children, or they misappropriate the funds, or the homes don't even exist after a while. So that has never happened under our supervision, because we ensure that we have enough staffs and volunteers actually making their rounds to make sure that whatever that we've channeled out to them is being used. We speak to the children regularly, we speak to the staffs regularly to ensure that everything is on track and no one's doing something they're not supposed to.
Okay, so if I want to donate to the child's breakfast program, how much does that cost on a monthly basis?
Okay, so you can donate for as low as 38 ringgit, 58 ringgit, and 98 ringgit. So it depends on what you're comfortable with. To feed a child at school breakfast, it costs you approximately 2 ringgit and 50 cents.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how about a child's expense? If I want to sponsor a child for a month,
okay,
at one of your homes, how much did that cost?
Okay, at this point, we realize it costs approximately 500 ringgit to 600 ringgit. It depends on what they need at that particular month. Okay. To sponsor a child's food, clothing, accommodation, and also their transportation and the whole works. It costs approximately that much to manage a child, but that cost varies for when they are toddlers and when they're in primary school and when they are in secondary school. Yeah,
because I think a lot of because we have done community conversation shows before, and some of our audience has reached out to us to basically find out more about how they can donate on a regular basis. So in terms of a direct debit and so forth, do you have things like that?
Yeah, we do. So we have this program called the Direct Debit Donor Program. It's available on our website. So you can go in there, key in your credit card details and your debit card or your debit card details, and you can donate the amount which you are comfortable with, or you can follow our scheme, which is 38 ringgit or 58 ringgit or 98 ringgit. And after a year, we'll produce you with your tax-exempt receipt statement. So for you to do your filing. So a lot of our donors are very happy donating with us because they say we have a very systematic system. So at the end of it, you get a tax exempt receipt because they need those for tax filings and all of that.
Yeah, and so, and if I want to do that, could you give us a number right now on the show on air, so that a bank account number or something, so that we can actually then, if someone watches this, can make a decision straight away, because we are human beings, we forget. So
yeah.
if we have the number straight away, we can make that donation.
Okay, so I have our Budimas Charitable Foundation bank account number. So can I just read out that number to you?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, so it's an RHB account. So the number is 214-062-000-51383.
And what is the account name, please?
The Budimas Charitable Foundation.
Okay, could you repeat that again, please?
Sure. 214-062-000-51383.
And so this is an RHB bank account.
Yes, it's
for
an
the
RHB
Budimas
bank
Charitable Foundation, and that's the name.
Yes, but don't forget to log on to our website so you get more details over there in case you missed that number. You can call us, get in touch with us via our social media.
And what is your website URL? Sorry.
Sure, www.budimas.org.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, Anne, any final thoughts before we end this conversation?
So I think we've been through a very interesting 2 years. So I hope everyone's hanging in there. I think things will never be the same as soon as this is over, and we don't know when this is going to be over. But having said that, I hope you just spare a moment to still think about the underprivileged children in Malaysia, because COVID or no COVID, they're still there and they still need our assistance and help. And things have gotten more stranger for them, because I believe that especially during lockdown, when we were all asked to not leave our homes, we all complained and we moped around about it, and we fought so hard, and we asked why we were locked up. But we forgot that many of these underprivileged children who didn't even have a proper bed to sleep in was forced to just stay in their houses. So there were a lot of abuse cases that came about. There were a lot of cases being reported, and there was a lot of things which happened, which I'm not sure whether we should speak about it here, but I feel we should do something about it, and we should understand the current situation, and we should do something to make a difference about them. So I would tell people listening today to just take a moment to think about them and get on back to thinking about what you can do, what difference you can make. If you can donate, you donate. If you can volunteer your time, that will be great, because you're talking about children who don't really have a lot, and we really didn't do much for them besides funding them monetarily. But a lot of these monies didn't reach them, especially during COVID time, because they didn't come to school, and a lot of them were forced to stay at where they were at. So especially the Orang Asli children. So if you could just spare a moment and think about that would be great. And also get back to thinking about them and making a difference in their lives. And I hope everyone stays safe, and I hope this blows over really quickly. And till we speak again.
And thank you very much for taking the time to come on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
I'm Brian Fernandez, and I've been speaking to Anne Rajasaikaran, the Principal Officer and CEO of the Budimas Charitable Foundation, on Biztech's Community Conversation Show. This video will be on our Facebook and LinkedIn sites, as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. Please like and subscribe to our various platforms. Thanks a lot for tuning in.